We are breaking into your regular programming right now for Governor DeWine's weekly briefing on the coronavirus. He's expected to announce what he's calling a slowdown rather than a shutdown. I think we're going to go ahead and listen in to the governor.
Well, we certainly had some good news yesterday morning. Moderna, with their drug trials proceeding very well, with 95%. Pfizer the week before. So that's very, very good news. Help is truly on the way for us in Ohio and across the country. So very, very, very good news. The bad news is that our situation in Ohio is deteriorating. We see more and more cases, more and more people in the hospital, and we've got to turn this thing around. We literally have to build a bridge to get from here to the point when we're going to have the immunity from the vaccine. So we got to get over this. We got to get over this bad spot. And I'm going to talk today about some of the things that we can do. And it sounds like the reports I'm getting around Ohio, we're already starting to do that. More and more people are wearing masks in retail outlets, which is just great news. So let's, Eric is back. Good to see you, Eric. Let's take a look at the numbers. Let's go to today's slide. 7,000 cases. This has been running between 7,000 and 8,000 for about a week. 6 weeks ago, we were at about 1,000, so it's gone up dramatically. Number of deaths, sadly, at 30. Hospitalizations way up, 368. We'll talk about hospitalizations in a moment. Those people in the hospital, 21-day average was 210, and ICU admissions is up a little bit as well. Let's talk a little bit about hospitalization. October 13th, we had 1,000 people in our hospitals in Ohio who had COVID. November 5th, that number was 2,000. By November 12th, that number had gone from 2,000 to 3,000. And you look at today's number, 3,648. So this is just, as you can tell, going up dramatically. You'll see that the yellow is the ICU, and that's going up certainly as well. And you'll see COVID positive hospitalized is the purple. So just a dramatic change. I spent yesterday traveling around in some of the southeastern parts of the state, as well as the northwestern part of Ohio. I had doctors with me at each stop, and each one of them described what they were seeing in their local hospital. The ICU, let me give you the ICU numbers. 1 month ago, we had 280 of our fellow Ohioans in ICU. Today, we have 900. So a dramatic increase of those in that situation. So Eric, let's take a look at the next one. This is our slide. Of course, 88 counties ranked by highest occurrence. And again, as you'll see, every single county is now a high incidence. And these numbers continue to go up even for the counties that have the least spread. If we look here, Meigs County, for example, still these are high numbers. Every county in the state is at least 2 times the high incident level set by the CDC. Eric, let's look at the top 20. And if you look at the top 20, these are astronomical numbers. If you look at the top 5, Putnam, Mercer, Allen, Lake, Auglaize, these numbers are just shocking. It means that 1 out of 100 people in the last 2 weeks was diagnosed with COVID. So just think about the odds, and we know that's always lower than, not everybody's diagnosed, not everyone has the test. And so what that means is that dramatically increases the chance of someone in those counties running into somebody who does in fact have the COVID. And again, it's the reason for the mask, it's the reason for the distancing. All right, Eric, let's take a look at the next slide. This is something we've shown before. I believe this is cases versus testing. This shows we're very happy to see the testing going up, and it continues to go up. But number of cases is going up obviously much more dramatically. So we have some people who think that the increase in testing is what's causing the increase in cases. Yeah, a little bit of it, but most of it is more and more cases. So let's take a look at the next slide, Eric. So this is number again, tests performed, and you can see these numbers are going way up. We're happy, certainly happy about that. And the positivity number, the 7-day running average is 12.8 positivity. The last day was 13.8. So certainly not heading in the right direction. So let's talk a little bit about building that bridge to get us across till we get to the point when we start not only getting testing out, or excuse me, getting vaccinations out, but get them out enough so that we're starting to get that herd immunity. So it's a ways away, but the good news is it is coming. And it's great news that we got this week and last week. Well, we started down that path last week with our retail mask order. We had inspectors go out yesterday for the first day. Again, our goal is to protect the workers in the retail establishments, also to protect customers when they go in. It's the right thing to do with every county now being hot, every county now having very significant spread. The good news is that we have had some reports that even before Monday, when it started to be enforced, we were starting to see number of people who are wearing masks in retail establishments go up. And I got some emails from some folks who have been in these different retail establishments, and some of them. So that's great. We just encourage people to continue to do that. We reissued last week the order that people should not come together, 10 or more people. That has to do, of course, with wedding receptions and funerals. Again, not impacting the wedding receptions or the weddings themselves, the ceremony, nor the funerals, but the receptions, the getting together. The order simply says that it has to follow basically the restaurant protocol. There's a few additional tweaks in there, but it's basically people need to wear masks when they're not actively eating. They need to be seated. They need to be careful. And we think that will help when people follow that, as well, as we've seen a lot of tragedy come out, sadly, out of weddings and out of funerals, and spread coming from that. What else can we do? I think really, if we could summarize what we need to do, it's wear a mask and have fewer contacts. What do I mean by that? Well, think back to the spring. We did some shutdown, people stayed home, not looking at anything that drastic, but we know that if we reduce the number of people we come in contact every day with, that we reduce the chances of getting the virus, and we reduce the chances of spreading the virus if we unknowingly have it. You can look back in the spring, or you can look back in March, April, and you just saw activity went down. And we're not talking about closing any businesses as we did then, but what we're asking every Ohioan to do is to limit your activity, limit your contacts with other Ohioans. So how are we going to do that? We're issuing a curfew. And the curfew will start Thursday at 10 p.m. So the curfew every day for 21 days. We're going to try it for 21 days, see how we're doing. For 21 days, 3 weeks, at 10 p.m. retail establishments need to be closed and people should be home. That will run until 5 a.m. I know a lot of people like to get up and exercise and do things. That's great. We believe that this is going to help. It's going to reduce some of the contacts that are taking place. What else can be done? So I'm asking, in addition to the curfew itself, I'm asking each Ohioan every day to do at least one thing that reduces your contact with others, or one thing that enhances your personal contact with someone, your emotional contact with them, but not a physical contact. What are we talking about? Let me give maybe some examples that I just wrote down today. You're thinking about going and watching the Ohio State game with a bunch of friends. Don't do it. Pull back. Watch that at home. Talk about it on the phone. Skype in if you want to talk back and forth about it. But pull back. Wear a mask to church. Again, something that people can do. Call a friend. Just talk to a friend. Chris is going to talk a little bit later today about some of the mental health toll that's going on during this pandemic and what people can do to alleviate that. Something you can do. Write a letter. Write a letter to someone. People like to get mail. They don't get a handwritten note very often. Give them that. Again, something positive that we can do during this time. Something we did back in the spring. We consolidated trips. I was talking to someone the other day. They said, you know, in the spring I would have made one trip to the grocery store. Yeah, this week I've made 2, maybe 3. So you can buy the same amount of stuff. We want to help the merchants, but make a list, consolidate it. These are just simple things. Everyone can come up with their own list. So I'm really asking, and we're asking every Ohioan to do one thing at least, or 2 or 3, that cuts down the contact every single day. Ask what you can do for your fellow man. Ask what you can do for the people of Ohio. And we are all in this together. And what each one of us does will make a difference. We don't have to cut these contacts down by as much as we did in the spring. But if we can cut it down, say 20%, 25%, we're going to have a significant impact. And you couple that with what we really didn't know in the spring, and that was that these masks work really well. And so you couple the mask with that, couple the cutting down on the number of contacts, and you know, that's going to go a long way to keeping our hospitals from being overrun. It's going to go a long way to keep our kids in school. It's going to go a long way to keep our loved ones who are in a nursing home safe.